What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mark, and welcome back to Mindful Reality TV from a mental health perspective. So, I wanted to talk about this first episode of this show, House of Villains. I saw it advertised that it was coming out on October 12th, it came out at the same time as the challenge. So, I was not able to watch it yesterday, but I said I would give it a shot today. I didn't really know much about what the show was about. I think I had seen one preview, and I was really mainly sold on the show because of Johnny Bananas being on the show. So I was like, let's see how this guy is going to do on this different show. I was confused. I thought it was actually his show. Maybe he helped with the concept or something. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. But episode 1 comes through, and I'm going to tell you guys, I thoroughly enjoyed episode 1. There was a lot of personalities on there. There was a lot of drama. And there was just a lot of potential for a setup for a lot of things that were going to happen down the line, some of which what we saw in the preview. So I'm not even really going to get into every single minute detail. But I'm going to tell you guys, if you haven't seen it, it's worth a watch. It's a competition show, and they do challenges. The winner of the challenge selects, I think, 3 people. I have a hard time because I'm so in my Big Brother mode. I'm used to calling it the block. I don't really remember what they call it, but 3 people are selected by the person who wins the competition to be kicked out of the house. And they play a competition. One of the people can take themselves off. I know that sounds real, Big Brother-ish. One of those people can come off, and then the house votes out of the remaining 2 who's going to go home. So really, they are kind of using the format of other shows. It looked a little bit like the challenge and Big Brother when it came to the competitions. It's kind of like the challenge and Big Brother when it comes to the voting. It's just a different host, a different spin, I guess, different type of cast. And that's really the main differences between it. But it's something that is, I think, worth a watch, especially when Big Brother goes off. This is a show that I'm going to keep following in the off season. So notable things that happened in the first episode. Okay, so I had in there that Johnny Fairfield came in there, New York, Johnny Bananas. A big moment that happened that was basically a central moment to the first episode was that Corrine was going to introduce herself to Omarosa, who I don't know. I only just saw her from this and the little clip they showed of her at the beginning. But Omarosa was talking to Shake and trying to make a deal with him, make an early alliance with him. And Corrine came over there to say hi. And she was like, I'm not familiar with you. What's your name? And Omarosa basically was like, Google me. That's what Google is for. And Corrine was like, looking at her like, is she serious talking about Google me? So she didn't leave. She circled back. She circled back and tried to introduce herself again. And Omarosa was just really rude and aloof. She didn't want to talk to her. She was like, as I was saying, let's talk business. She's looking back at Shake. Everybody is like, awkward. Everybody thought that it was awkward. Bobby walked away. And basically, I don't remember exactly what she said, but she called her the B word as she was walking away, Corrine. Corrine is the roommate in this house of New York from I Love New York. And New York saw her crying. She came up to the room crying, and she was like, what's wrong? So she was kind of trying to come to her defense. Eventually, she had a conversation. New York and Omarosa had a conversation. Omarosa was like, I know you. You are the first female to ever have a dating show where the female was the person that they were trying to date or get with. And New York really liked the fact that Omarosa was kind of gassing her head up. Omarosa is scary. Let me just say that. I would be scared to live in any house with her and work with her in any capacity. And I would want to get her out of the house as soon as possible. Because everyone else, when they came in there, hi, nice to meet you, this and this. Omarosa came with this attitude and with this aura, and kind of, in my opinion, with this act as well. That I feel like she, nowadays, the reality TV of today, you can tell when somebody is just in there, just, living, and when somebody's in there trying to make a name for themselves. I know she's already known, as they all are, but you know what I mean. Reclaim the fame, because these are all people who have apparently not been on reality TV in a number of years. Well, not in a number of years, but they started their reality TV journey a number of years back, is what I'm trying to say. So New York and Omarosa were speaking, and New York was kind of trying to defend her roommate Kareen, and New York was just like, what's going on? I mean, you didn't want to tell her your name, and she's upset. And Omarosa was like, yeah, she's just got to go. I don't like her. I don't want her around. And that was kind of the end of that. So they have this competition. The competition was hosted by, give me 1 second, Joel McHale. I'm not familiar with who Joel McHale is, but apparently he's a comedian. They made a funny feel to it. This show had a VH1 feel to me, because I remember this show called I Love Money on VH1, and it was a semi-serious show, but I think it was more focused on the drama than the competition. And I know all competition shows have drama, but y'all know what I mean. It's not like a very serious feel to it. It's more like real world type of thing meets competition. A competition is a part of the show, but it's funny. So it showed all these different takes that he had of his intro, and none of them worked. And Omarosa eventually walked off, and then it showed like he now switched to a night take of him coming out of a car and saying, welcome to House of Villains. So it's kind of funny. He's a little corny, but he's a little funny at the same time. So the competition that they did was called Balls Out, and he made a lot of balls jokes. So it was a competition that we've basically seen on, again, The Challenge and Big Brother, but I guess it operated slightly differently. So each of these balls that they weren't in the ball. They actually were outside of the ball, and each ball had their face on it. And basically the last one in the arena, that person wins that competition. What was the competition called? I did not write down the name of the competition, but that's not really important. I'll get all that stuff down eventually. The last ball in the arena wins that competition and gets to select the 3 names that go up for a possible elimination from the house. And they get to go on this luxury competition also with 2 other guests. I don't know if that's the case every single week. I'm not sure yet, but that was the case for this week. The luxury thing is what I'm not sure about. So what ends up happening is some people come out playing really hard, and Johnny Bananas honestly is built for a game like this. And I mean, for a game like House of Villains overall, it's just a matter of if he can downplay his threat level enough to stay there. That's the issue, because he's clearly done the most seasons out of anyone there. And I don't really know if I don't think there's ever been anyone on 21 competition shows in the history of reality TV. I think he's definitely has to have the record for the most times on any show. He's like the Michael Phelps of this thing. So he said, you never want to be the first person to win the first competition because it puts a big target on your back. So Jax was going real hard. He pissed off Omarosa. Bobby was going really hard in this competition too. Some of them were just sitting on the balls and not even trying to push anyone else's out. And basically, to make a long story short, we were left with this showdown between Omarosa and Bananas. Some of the ladies were guarding Omarosa's ball and helping her guard it. Bananas was like, what do you want to do? Because he didn't want to win. And he said it was not ideal for him to be there with her because she's like a super villain. She's a villain of villains, right? So Omarosa was like, if I win, you are definitely not going up. You're not going up. I promise you. I promise you. She said it a few times. So he let his ball go. He let them push it out. Omarosa wins the first competition. And I was saying, I think that this guy made a grave mistake because I'm thinking with my challenge mind at this point, with my MTV challenge mind. Like, I've seen so many deals broken and not honored before that I'm like, how could such a veteran of doing these shows make such a big mistake? But I'm like, let's see how this plays out. So Omarosa ends up selecting Tanisha and Bobby for the luxury competition. She said it's because they have the biggest mouths in the house and she wanted to get intel. That was actually a smart reason, and I didn't think of that before she said that, but that was really smart. So she goes on this luxury competition. It looks like they got not competition, this luxury thing where it looks like they got mani-pedis. So she ends up picking her hit list, which is her list of 3 people that she's going to put up to be possibly out of the house. They made it really dramatic where she comes and walks in and sits down on this chair. And then, so she says the first name that she's picking is the one who doesn't know how to use Google. I'm like, shots fired. So she picks Corinne as the first person to be up. The next person she nominates is Shake. At the beginning of the episode, she tried to make a deal with Shake. Her and Johnny Fairfield, who know each other, I guess they must have been on their season together from what they were saying. And yeah, they showed Johnny Fairfield on Survivor, so I guess she was on Survivor too. I don't know. I'm not familiar with a lot of this cast, but they asked Shake if he wants to work with them at the beginning. He said, give me a few hours to think about it. Apparently, she doesn't like that. So that didn't happen. And the third person, she made this big speech. This person has been on so many competition shows. He has won several of them. He's a physical threat. He's a mental threat. He's this and he's that. And I was like, oh my goodness, is she about to backstab, blindside Johnny Bananas in the first episode? But after she made that whole speech, she was like, that's why I should pick him. But I'm picking Jax instead. Jax was not happy about that. Bananas was like, I need a diaper change because I just blanked myself. Everybody laughed at that. Bananas and his one-liners. So that's who was nominated as the 3. My thoughts overall on the show, it was funny. It was dramatic. It was interesting. They got my attention enough that I am definitely going to give this series a chance. I think I'm gonna keep reviewing it because it's quite an entertaining show. Like I said, it reminds me of a combination Big Brother, The Challenge, and like I Love Money. For those who watched VH1 back in the day, I Love Money was a combination of a bunch of these people that were on these dating VH1 shows. A lot of those contestants got together and did this kind of corny-ish competition show, and it was pretty funny. And that's kind of the vibes that this one gave me. Like it combined some of the elements of these shows that we're doing today with the VH1 network, because it has kind of a old VH1 network feel to it. It's not as serious as a Challenge or a Big Brother. And all the cast is, I think most of them, if not all, are 40 plus. And so it's like a different feel altogether. And in today's era, just reality TV is different overall. But give the show a watch. House of Villains, episode 1 review. It's your boy. And I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the season. And I'll talk to y'all later.